If physical laws of nature, such as gravity and aerodynamics, are so consistent and stable, what about spiritual laws which are much higher than the laws that govern the world of matter? See, natural laws, they control and they govern the physical planet we call the earth, while spiritual laws control and govern the invisible world of spirits. If we discover a spiritual law or technology that God has embedded in the matrix of creation, we know that we can bank on this spiritual law or technology to work exactly the same way in every circumstance, in every continent, all over the world, every time and in every place. Now, in a world that suffers from the lack of consistency in our leaders, in the people we love, knowing that the timeless principles of God that are embedded in the fabric of creation are predictable, they are dependable, is truly satisfying and empowering at the same time. Now look at 9. Let's turn our Bibles to Luke 9, verse 28 to 31. It says this: About 8 days later, Jesus took Peter, John, and James up on the mountain to pray. And as he was praying, the appearance of his face was transformed, and his clothes became dazzling white. Suddenly, 2 men, Moses and Elijah, appeared and began talking with Jesus. They were glorious to see, and they were speaking about his exodus from the world, which was about to be fulfilled in Jerusalem. Now, you might be wondering why an echoes on Divine Interception starts out with a chapter, with a module on a parallel universe. Well, I'm glad that you are thinking that. Let me give you the answer. The technology of divine interception is only possible on the human plane because our present world is governed by a very powerful, invisible world that can intervene in the affairs of men. See, the supernatural intersection of our physical world of matter with that invisible world is what creates both the climate and condition for divine interception. You see, it is that intersection that because of the spiritual world can bend. Ours can bend towards that world, but that world is a flexible world, and it's a much more flexible world, so it can bend. It's the curvature of the spiritual. Even though we are part of the universe, that world of the spirit can bend and cross time and kiss our time and then continue that way. So anytime we see that when time touches eternity, when our natural world is crisscrosses even for a short moment with that spiritual world, a spiritual invisible world, something supernatural happens in the intersection. A climate for divine interception, a climate for the move of God is created, or a climate for demons to operate is also created if the spirit that is intercepting your timeline is a demon. Then a climate will be created where evil is much more likely to happen. But in our ethos, we are focusing on when God bends the curvature of the spirit world to intersect our world in order to create an interception point, at the intersection point where God can now create the climate that is conducive for God to say, no, don't go left, go right. Because if you go left, you're going to be injured. If you go right, you're going to be blessed. Something is waiting for you on the right. But if you go to the left, you're going to avoid it altogether. That climate is created when the supernatural world intersects our physical world of matter.